Hey everybody, what's happening? I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope it's a fruitful day. I hope you're planning for a big next year. It's December. Oh man, I gotta pay my mortgage. It's December. We're moving into 2016. Okay, look. You guys, when I went ahead and surveyed you guys, very common thematically what I heard from you was more real people, which means to me it meant, hey, let's not necessarily always bring on somebody that does 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 deals. That's okay. So I did. Today's guest is certainly a real person. Now, we dig into some nuts and bolts here. Now, I will tell you that, if you're looking for that, today's episode's different. The stuff that we cover, I almost never cover, ever. We talk about a budget, for, when money comes in. We talk about how to recruit, how to hire. We talk about that stuff. And, I don't think that this episode is for everyone. Look, here's the deal. Here's why I brought this guy on. I talked about it in my intro with him specifically. Number one, this guy is a client of ours. Okay, he does radio. Now, by using radio as well as typically just building his company, he went from doing 2.7 million deals in 2014 to almost 5x, just under $11 million in production for 2015, and as we'll discuss, 43% of that was from radio. This by no means is a pitch for radio. It's not. It just happens to be part of the story. So we get into some very nuts and bolts things. So if you are out there and you're doing $30, $40 million, maybe this episode won't appeal to you. But if you are, that person out there that's doing 10 deals and you just can't get to 20 or 30, I think you're going to find a ton of value in this episode. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Okay, really quickly, hashtag for the show is Unpack That Idea. Go follow us on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @SuperAgentsLive. I would love to meet you in Twitterland, and I'd love to have you join the conversation. This week, today we talk about team building, some nuts and bolts stuff. Friday's episode is another one that we talk about recruiting and team building. Again, that one on Friday with Andy Taylor, we get into tons of actionable advice. We cover a bunch of stuff on scripting, so you're not going to want to miss that. So go to one thing I'd love to share with you guys. We have a new distribution channel set up for the show. We just got approved as a staff contributor, staff writer to Inman.com. If you don't know what Inman is or haven't been reading it, go check it out. Inman, I-N-M-A-N, Inman.com. There's lots of good resources, lots of good articles on there. And moving forward, yours truly is there. Our first article and episode got released today. And it looks like there's going to be another one released on the 17th. So good stuff. Love for you guys to check it out. And if you haven't, if you can go to iTunes or Stitcher and give us a review, we read those on air. We'll give you a shout out, and we appreciate that. Thanks, guys. Today on the show, I got to tell you guys, today's guest we booked for 3 very specific reasons. Now, number one, you guys have been asking for quote unquote real people. And, some of you guys are having problems identifying with that agent who has a team of 28ers doing 500-600 deals. So today's guest is certainly a real person. He probably looks something like you guys. The second reason is every week I get an email from a listener that says, hey, Toby, I love the show. I'm going to be a guest in the future. Now, today's guest, found our show a year ago, and now he's a guest. And the third reason I want to be very transparent, guys, today's guest is a client. He's been doing radio for about a year, and I want to tell you right now, this is in no way a pitch for radio. It's not going to be an infomercial. That is part of his story, so we'll get into it. But I want you to – he has gone from 2 million to almost 11 million, and I want to dig into what he did to see that growth, what he wished he would have done sooner, mistakes along the way. I'm thrilled to introduce my buddy Michael Shulman. Hey, Michael, thanks for taking the time out, man.
Thanks for having me, Toby. I really appreciate it.
So listen, I know you've kind of had a rocky, some ups and downs. Take us back to 2012. I know you did something a little bit different, kind of a B2B play a little bit. Let's quickly go back to 2012. Let's talk about 12, 13, 14, and now 15.
Great. Well, in 2012, I thought I had a great opportunity. I had hooked up with a law firm and was handling all their short sale deals. In 2012, I think I held at one point as many as 60 listings, and I had probably about 40 pending. As we all know, short sales are a volatile deal, and the law firm that I was working with was sending a lot of them not short sale. They were just telling them to let it go because they wouldn't waive the deficiency. So I would go through the whole process of selling the property, get the buyer, get the approval, and they would kick it to the curb. So I was fortunate enough to do about 36 deals in 2012 for about $3.75 million, and I was working 12-hour days, just killing myself, and it just wasn't the right avenue with the market changing and short sales moving away from the market. I decided to change my niche and go more for the residential listing agent, which everybody preached. Listings is where it's at, not to go for buyers. In the past, I had done buyers, so it was totally spinning my business, and that brought me to 2013. In 2013. I did 10 deals for about $2 million, and it was basically sphere of influence, expireds, and open houses is pretty much what generated the majority of my business. Also, I tried a lot of different things, just like everybody. I tried house value leads through Market Leader. At the time, I was with Keller Williams, and they were pushing that. It fed me. I was happy with what I was doing, but obviously we all aspire to do bigger things. In 2014, I started flipping homes as well, and I managed to do 3 flips that year and close 11 deals for a little over $2 million. A couple things I learned is it's very difficult to flip homes and to be a realtor, and you have too many ups and downs. So with that, coming into 2015, I said I'm going to be 100% dedicated to doing real estate. I actually hooked up with a new partner that helped restructure things, and 2015 was my best year to date. Okay.
So look, Mike, I mean, if I look at your again, you're not untypical. What we see out there with real estate agents is they're always chasing the bright, shiny next new thing. And it looks like, if I think of, 2012, you got into short sales, you're late in the game, right? Probably not a smart move, and from a long-term play. 2013 you did the right stuff, sphere, expired, open houses, and then in 14 you started flipping houses. Man, again, you're late to the game. I mean, you should have been doing flips in 2010. Would you agree with that? Number one, and number two, what have you learned from that?
I would agree with that. Actually, in 2010, I was wholesaling properties, but I just didn't have the means to flip them on my own. So I'd always aspired to do that. And, by the means of the year I had in 12, it gave me some funds where I was able to move forward and start flipping homes. So, it was good. I enjoyed it, but in order to grow a business, like you said, you got to be on the upswing. And that was kind of the downswing of that market. So I was late to the game, and I wish I was there in 10, but unfortunately it's hard to do that when you don't have the funds in hand. But now I feel like we're poised in position for what the market is doing, and we found the right tools to make things happen. And and we're really excited for 2016 because of it. You said that you're always chasing the shiny object, and I feel like that's true. I always think I have the right tool and the right resource to make things happen, and unfortunately, they're not always what they're cracked up to be, but some of them are. And as you know, working with you, radio has been a huge enhancement in my business. It actually contributed to 42% of our sales in 2015, which is enormous. It made, and based on that, we had, more people to talk to. We had more open houses, and we had more avenues to develop other business.
Right.
And a reputation just from, when we call FSBOs and expireds now, it's crazy to me that a lot of them know who we are because they've heard us on the radio. And, I live in a market with 3 million people, so you wouldn't think it was that small, but it is. We've made somewhat of a reputation in only a year with limited radio play.
Yeah, and we'll talk about radio in a little bit. I think one of the things that at least from my perspective, knowing you, Mike, and hearing your story, one of the things that I think was the first part of changing your game was you adding a team member, a partner. You never had that before. You were the typical solo agent, slinging houses. What was the mindset shift for that, in 2015? Because again, you're with KW. They expound team building, and you decided, you didn't take the lesson or the suggestion. Then what changed for you?
I saw where I wanted to go, and I saw the struggles I was having. And it's like every agent, you lead gen, you develop business, and then you work that business, and then you close that business, but then you don't have anything in your pipeline because you're too busy focusing on the thing in front of you. And that was my biggest issue. I'm not somebody that loves the phone. I'm not an ISA per se, and I'm also not overly experienced at team building. I've had teams in the past, but never that really functioned at the capacity that I wanted. I've tried to add an ISA here. I've tried to add an assistant there, and it never really panned out for me. So my former team leader at Keller Williams had actually come back into the market, and it was right after the time that I picked up radio. We were starting in January. This was in December, and I had realized I'm going to need some assistance if I'm going to do this to the capacity that I want to do it. If I'm going to really succeed and make the most of the opportunities I had at hand, I really needed a better infrastructure, and I needed to be able to delegate tasks and not try to do everything myself. I had approached Rob. Rob West is my business partner. Like I said, he was a Keller Williams team leader. So he was experienced at training. He was experienced at recruiting and building that team structure, which I thought was going to be really important. And he was also one of the best IFAs I had met. So with all of his skill set combined with mine, I thought we really had a well-rounded team. So, we sat down, we hashed out who was going to do what, and delegate tasks to each other. He's more of like I said, the inside sales agent, and he does some training and structure. And I was more of the field agent, communicating with all the sellers, going to the appointments, and communicating with the inbound leads via realtor or buyer. And the structures really worked well for us. Fortunately, we're outgrowing it, and we are adding people to the team now as need be, which is really exciting. So, that was one of the biggest factors in the growth, was having more organization and being able to delegate. So now we don't have those ups and downs anymore. We've pretty much been consistent across the entire year, where we were closing roughly $1 million a month. Obviously, the first month was a little bit slow because we were getting ramped up. So that's been the key has been consistency, not stepping out of line to do another task, and just keep moving forward.
So help me understand again, because I know, I 100% know there are people out there, that are in your shoes from 2 or 3 years ago. Did you have an admin? I mean, were you truly doing everything before you added Rob?
I've had an admin, and then I've lost my admin, and then I had a different one, and then I lost him. When I was doing all the short sales, I had a contract coordinator. So So, I mean, at that point, I was literally managing like 70 plus listings by myself with the help of a contract coordinator, and that was it. So, yeah, I truly was a one-man show. You know, I tried to hire a virtual assistant. That really didn't work when I was on my own. I tried to hire an inside sales agent from Bangladesh. I think he got me like 3 deals out of it. So, I mean, I always knew the structure that I wanted to run. I always knew that I wanted to have, you know, compartmentalized, you know, the Henry Ford model. I wanted the conveyor belt. I wanted the leads to come in, go to the inside sales agent, then divvied out to either a listing agent or a buyer's agent, and then after they're done doing their piece, then send it to the closing coordinator. Because, you know, you can't do everything well, and I know that I could surround myself with people that are going to be better at those specific tasks than me. And it was very difficult to accomplish it when it was just me. And I've had a lot more luck and ability doing it with Rob on my side.
Okay, so again, for that person out there who is, again, in your shoes from a few years ago, what advice would you give them? I mean, should they just, you know, should they just go right now, like right as finish listening to this interview and go and try to find a transaction coordinator, find, you know, somebody to offload these tasks to? I mean, how much of a drain was that, or by not having that just back office support, how did that hurt your business? I know it couldn't have helped.
A contract coordinator is paramount. If you don't have one, get one. I don't care if you're only doing 6 deals, because the reality is if you're doing 6 deals and you're handling your own contract coordination, you probably could have did 10, because it just frees up so much time and it's such a minimal fee, and you're only paying upon work completed. It's not upfront costs. It's not, you know, having somebody on salary. I mean, we pay somebody $300 per deal, and they do an excellent job. They do a better job than I could. And you know, it's been a huge asset. Another thing that we've added.
Hold on. Wait, I just want to interject something really quickly there. So,
Sure.
And the other thing is, you know, let's say you pay your TC, you know, $600 a deal. You can just put that on the contract. You can, you know, that doesn't necessarily have to come out of your pocket. You can just put that and pass that along to your buyer or seller. And, you know, most people don't do this every day. They're like, oh, well, geez, transaction coordinator. Okay, I guess I got to pay $600 for that. Exactly.
You could definitely pass that along to somebody else, and it's a huge asset. We started off that we'll only do it on these, and then by the end we're like, we're going to do it on all of them. Another thing that we've done that I think is really helpful.
Hold on, Mike. Sorry about that. I really apologize about cutting you off. Okay, so how can people find, you know, if they're convinced, hey, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to pass the cost along, what are some tips that you can give some people to go out and find a good transaction coordinator?
You know, I'm a member of a lot of groups on Facebook, and you could literally just ask the people in your group, who do you know that's a great transaction coordinator? They don't even need to be in your market. And, you know, or if you're doing a deal with somebody and they have a transaction coordinator, see if they're accepting new clients. Because it's definitely, you know, finding a good one is important. You don't want to find one that's not going to do the job. But, I mean, I get CC'd on everything, so I see all the activity in the background. And she's a problem solver, and she gets things done that would really take me hours to do. And it's been, you know, a huge bonus. So, you know, social media is a great avenue, and your network of people, you know, your title agents, they know who has transaction coordinators that are good, and they're a great avenue, or a lender.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Great tip. Okay. So you were, what is the other thing you said when I cut you off, buddy? You said the other thing.
We have a professional photographer that it saves us hours of time, you know, on the front end. We were trying to take the photos and do the editing, and it was never on par. I mean, we're creating a brand. We're creating an image. People recognize our imagery now, and our helms are selling very quickly due to the great photography, and they're also selling for more money. And the fact that, you know, when I go in for a listing presentation now, I'm able to show these beautiful imagery that we use, and I'm able to show how quickly we're selling houses and for how much. So, I mean, right now our numbers are great. We're selling houses in 26 days on average through 2015. My market's average is 76 days. And we're selling at 99% of list price. And I would credit a lot of that to the photography and the means that we're putting it out to people. And that's another thing that we've outsourced. That is an upfront fee. It's not a huge expense, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, I didn't know that, man. Offline, we should talk about including some of that stuff in your radio spots. I didn't know that. I mean, so are you? Well, okay. Let me start with this. So you're taking this beautiful photography. I want to know how much it costs. And again, for you in Orlando. Well, let's start there. What is the cost? How did you find this person?
The cost is $125 per listing for a regular listing. We pay more for luxury listings, and those are kind of negotiated based on what we want. If we want video done, or how much he's going to retouch the imagery, or how many shots he's actually going to take. But for your normal house, it's $125. And I actually know him from college. He went to school with me, and he's a wedding photographer. He actually shot my wedding for me. And, he's not typically busy during the week because most weddings are on weekends. So I actually encouraged him to start shooting for us. And now he's shooting for a lot of people. So it's actually been mutually beneficial. I'm helping him grow his business, and he's helping me grow mine. And one other thing that's really cool is he's pretty good with social media. And anytime he takes photos, he shares them to his network of people and their potential buyers because they're newlyweds. So not only is he, shooting for me, but he's also helping push it out there to people that aren't in my inner circle.
Got it. That's cool. So now what you said earlier, Mike, you said that, you're taking these unique, you said something like this, we're taking these unique photos, building our brand, and now people are recognizing that. What is he doing something that's like signature, Mike Shulman, Rob West, or maybe unpack that notion a little bit?
It's his style of photography and his style of editing looks very distinct, and he won't do the same editing for other people. So that way we have a very branded and uniform look. So if you looked at every listing that I had, this year, you could tell they were all mine. You could tell they were all shot by the same person, and they have the same vibe to them. They have like a very clean, sharp look. They're very touched up. They look really like what a builder would do, or, the majority of these photos look like they could be in a magazine. Wow.
Okay. Have you, again, one last question and we'll kill this photography thing. Cause look, Mike, I beautiful pictures seem so self-evident. And I guarantee you, man, people are listening to this show, and they're still shooting, with their iPhone and putting that on the MLS, right?
Yeah.
It's just absolutely bonkers that, moving into 2016, people who do that. Have you played with dusk photos and is there, because I know that costs extra. Have you played with that, and what's been your experience?
We've had a couple of higher end homes that were like lakefront, and we have done shots like that. Typically he shoots at 3:00 and it takes him an hour to 2 hours. So with the time change, he's actually able to get some nice dusk shots and just the timing as well. Like he books 3:00 out for us and no one else. That way he's always available for us. It's nice to have that relationship and the ability to do that. He's actually supposed to shoot a house for me today, and we had to move it to tomorrow because I'm having them put some carpet in, and it wasn't ready. So it's nice that, I don't have to rearrange my entire schedule based on the shoot changing, because, I have appointments tomorrow, and that's the nice thing about having that third person involved. It's not taking away from your everyday tasks. It's not stopping the growth of my business. It's helping, increase it.
So let's go back to Rob real quick, because I think getting obviously we've talked about adding in a transaction coordinator. Everybody should do that. Go find a photographer. Everybody should do that. And I promise you guys that there are a lot of very hungry photographers out there who are trying to build a wedding business, and having the ability to shoot photos for you guys at $125 or $50 an hour, $60 an hour, they would be all over that. So, earlier, Mike, you said, you're not the outbound phone guy. That's not you. When you met Rob, he had some skills, or his skill set was very complementary to what you were good at or what you like to do. How deliberate were you about looking in your marketplace and finding somebody that had different skills than you? I mean, was this kind of by accident, or was this deliberate on your part?
It was good fortune. I was looking so at the end of last year, I was sitting in a pretty good spot. I knew I was going to expand and build my business, and I knew I was starting radio. I had gotten Vulcan 7, so I had some, and that's exclusive in my market. So I had a tool that most other people didn't have. I also had a real estate webmaster site. So I had, all these tools that I'm like, I'm ready to blow up. It's time. Let's make this happen. And, even speaking with you had advised me, listen, you're going to have a tough time, handling, radio, expired calls, and inbound buyer leads by yourself. So I set out and I started to look for an inside sales agent and a full-time assistant. I was going to come into the year, ready to go. And obviously there's expenses associated with that. So, it's a tough pill to swallow to gear up to spend some money, but I was prepared to do it. In my search for those people, I wasn't having very good luck. And I went on social media trying to, communicate with people that might know the right person for me. And right about the time I was looking, I came across Rob had come back into our market. As I said, he was a team leader with Keller Williams, and he wasn't producing, but he had stepped back into the market and was going to start producing again. And I approached him and said, listen, I'm looking for an ISA. I'm looking for an assistant. I think between the two of us, we don't need an ISA or an assistant. We could just, we're both pretty capable, and we could structure it so we could eliminate those two people and really, make an impact. And at first he said no, and I was pretty diligent in following up with him. And fortunately for me, his wife said, you need to go do this. It's a good opportunity, and have some faith that it's what right. So about this time last year, mid-December, we said, let's do it. And we weren't even at the same brokerage at the same time. He was at Keller Williams, and I was at a family-owned company called HomeVest. And so we started working together from different brokerages, and about 2 weeks into it, he said, all right, I'm all in. And he left Keller Williams and came and joined me at my brokerage. And I'd say we're both extremely happy that he made the move.
Yeah. It's been good for both you guys. Okay. Well, look, so you hire Rob, you get a partner, and some, I don't know, I think maybe I do kind of know this. He's a partner. Now, is he a 50-50 partner, or if you don't want to talk about that, you don't have to, but.
Yeah, no, he is. We're 100% 50-50. We share 100%. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. So we put a structure into place for our buyer's agents, which was, they got 50%. And then we actually have put an ISA in place, which is something that's been very, instrumental for us over the last month. So then we actually knocked the commission for the buyer's agent down to 40%. So, if Rob or myself handles the buyer, we get 40%, the ISA gets 10%, and then Rob and I split, the other portion 50-50.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I didn't know you. Okay. So, I know this has been working for you. I got to think that, a couple things, Mike. And again, I'm glad that we're talking about this stuff we normally don't talk about. So I hope you guys out there in the listening audience, you guys wanted somebody real, somebody that kind of looked like yourself. Hopefully, you're resonating with some of the stuff that Mike is talking about. Now, look, I think, Mike, a couple things. One, most people have a scarcity mindset, so they would, and people are greedy. So I think a lot of people go, well, no, it's my brokerage. You join it. I'm not going to give you, I have to own more than you. So I want to know how you got over that. And two, hopefully you instead of writing something down on a piece of lined paper that you went to an attorney and got some, worked it out. So, there's if you had a divorce, right? You could do that and it's not super ugly. So let's talk about mindset really quickly. How did you get yourself, your name is on well, no, it's not. But it's your brokerage. How were you able to get your head around and just go, we'll just do 50-50?
It's opportunity, and I saw the opportunity to partner with him, and I wasn't going to get in my own way.
Okay.
I know that a real world, hey, I had developed the brand, I had all the back end things in place, but the reality is if I'm not using it to the best of my abilities, I'm just holding myself back. So, partnering with Rob 50-50 was only fair. I wanted him to have 50% ownership. I wanted him to want everything as much as I did. I didn't want him to feel, that it wasn't equal. It is equal, and he helps bring 50% of the revenue in, and he deserves 50% of it. In terms of, ownership of it, the name is owned. A lot of the systems are owned, but the reality is it's and I guess the client base is owned. And we discussed how we would dissolve that. God forbid, we had to. But, my bigger concern was growing something that was worth having. At the amount of business I was doing, whether I had the name or the infrastructure, 10 deals a year or 11 deals a year wasn't enough to want to protect it. I want to protect 100 deals a year. If I was coming into the partnership and I was doing 100 deals a year and had a huge database and systems in place, I probably would have approached it differently. But with 11 deals, what was I protecting to not go all in and partner with them?
Yeah, no, you're right. I agree with you. I think most people would I've been in that situation and people are weird. I've been kind of in that situation before, and I'm super capitalized. I have a ton of cash. This person does not, and they still, again, these deals don't get done because people are like, oh no, I need more. I'm like, what are you bringing, pal? I have the cash. Yeah. You simply have started. You've been flailing at this for the last 3 years. Anyhow, okay, so that's good. I wanted to talk about that because I know that's somebody's thinking that out there. All right, so look, so you get your head around this. You find a partner. Earlier you said, Mike, when you're starting out and doing all this, right? You're hiring an ISA, you're doing all this stuff, especially with, then taking the leap of faith with radio, you have to be open to spending money. Now, again, this is something people struggle with. All right, everybody wants something for nothing, and I'll tell you here's my take on this with realtors. And I got this take from surveying my audience. Now, as realtors, we all work on commission, right? We don't get paid till we make something happen. And I think too much of the time, realtors not for better or for worse, for worse, realtors want that notion of only getting paid for results pushed down the line. Oh, my ISA, I only want to pay her or him if he gets me an appointment, right? I only want to pay for advertising if I, you know what I mean? But the real world doesn't work like that. You have to spend money. So talk to me, man. How did you, is that just you? You're okay with investing in yourself? Or I know some people are struggling with that. So share with them.
Sure. Okay. Sure. The first thing I would say is don't spend money you don't have. If you've got it, you're running a business. You couldn't go open a store without any money. You couldn't rent your office space or your storefront. You couldn't stock it with what you're trying to sell. You couldn't hire your salespeople or get your point of sale systems in place. You couldn't do your build outs. You couldn't do any of that. And if you look at the majority of businesses out there, there's upfront costs to everything. So why is real estate different? Are you running a business? Or are you a guide dog in a truck that's trying to just make it through the day? And I didn't want to be a guide dog in a truck. I want to run a business. I'm a businessman, not a businessman. That was my motto, and you have to run it accordingly.
I just got that. I'm a businessman, not a businessman. Okay, sorry, buddy.
No problem. So I had to get out of my own way. I knew what I wanted to accomplish, and I know it's going to take money. and it's opportunity cost. A lot of people teach and stress lead with revenue. I got to say, I don't really have that mentality. I lead with opportunity. And when we first got hooked up and I wanted to do radio, it was a big chunk of change. I was intimidated, but I knew what it brought. I knew that the top agents in the country have radio. I did some coaching with Lars Heddenberg, his blueprint, and the thing that made a big difference to him was when he added radio, he added a tremendous amount of business. And I wanted to follow in those footsteps. So when I, got wind of what you were doing, I knew I had no choice but to make sure it happened. And I called you up and told you I wanted to do it. And you basically were like, no, you don't do enough business. You don't have the infrastructure. You're not ready for this. And I said, but I am. Give me the opportunity, more or less, put me in, coach. I'm ready to score the touchdown. And that's the attitude that Rob and I have had the entire year. One thing that's great about Rob is he pushes me more than I push myself. And, so I have accountability based on him. I'm not going to wake up on a Tuesday morning and say, yeah, I was a little tired last night. I'm not going to, hit it hard today. I'm going to hit it hard every day because I don't want to let him down. So accountability is a huge portion. Sorry, I just changed topics a little bit on you, but
no, it's okay.
But you gotta, if you want to make money, you gotta spend money.
Right.
You can't make an omelet without breaking eggs.
I agree.
So
that's good. That is awesome, and I hope people out there can take that to heart because you can't do anything. Like every single business requires property, plant, or equipment, and real estate is probably the only industry that it's just you and a pen and a pad and doing your thing. All right, so let's talk about radio for just a second. Again, I don't want anybody to think this is a pitch, but I think the results that you've gotten are important. So instead of me asking you some questions, just how has it been for you? You've been doing radio about a year. You've gone from 2 million to almost 11, or I think 2.7 to like 10.7.
Yep.
Again, how did radio impact those numbers?
I mean, it had a really, really strong impact. Our first radio ad ran January 5th of last year, and we had calls the same week. We were blown away. We didn't expect it, and we were really, really happy that we hit early. I account some of it to be luck. It's like when you play poker, if you win a hand big at the beginning, you're pretty much in good shape for the rest of the game. And we were fortunate that we had a couple deals pop off right away from radio, so we knew we were in a good place. By the end of March, we paid for the entire year of radio. Wow. So that was huge. And again, we got lucky. We got we had a resale that bought new construction, and it was a 5% commission. So we were like, yes, this is amazing. And we've had pretty good consistency. I think we've had about, to date, we track everything. We had 99 radio calls over the course of the year, and I think we took about 30 listings from it. Wow. Give or take about 30. So a lot. Our markets, the radio market is bigger than our physical market is the problem. So we referred probably 20 of those calls to other people, and then another 20 or 30 of those people were either upside down or just had unreasonable expectations. So we've actually been because we value our reputation and our numbers and our time, we didn't take overpriced listings or work with unreasonable people. Now that we have an ISA in place and we're trying to ramp up and pick up some buyer's agents, we're loosening up on that a little bit. But over this year, we made sure that we were taking good quality listings, not just putting listings on the board to get listings.
That's awesome. And so I got an email from you, and again, I want to point this out because where you are at today, doing about $11 million. I mean, you guys, this is where I think everybody would love to be. You're earning a really, really solid living. You're not working yourself to death. You're not working those 12-hour days. So in the last year, you've had almost 4x growth. Now, you told me that about 40%, 43% came from radio. So that means another, 60% or 57% came from somewhere else. So what were those other things that you did, those other initiatives that led to, or, that helped you get to almost 11 million?
Okay. We call Fismos and expireds. We have Vulcan. We recently got the new Red X Onyx, and that's been really good for us. At the beginning of the year, we had poor consistency with it because every time we get ramped up, that would be the first thing to get put to the side. In the last month, we hired an ISA, and Rob and I have been saying for the last month, why didn't we do this sooner? She's made a huge impact. A month into it, the first month she's with us, she probably booked about 15 appointments, and we got 7 listings. So, and that's
in the first month.
Yeah.
Now, did you get this from our buddies over at My Outdesk?
No, this is an in-house ISA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, somebody in our market. We tried virtual assistants, and we had a tough time with the training. And we should have, if we used My Outdesk, we probably would have had a better time. But we used Upworks and found them on our own, and it really didn't work out. But no, we found her. I used Indeed and put a really well-written ad out there. I trained with Tim Heil and did his inside sales agent training, and he even gave us the ad. So I literally used his ad, and we got about 100 applicants. We also used social media and our sphere of influence to try to find people. But, as soon as I read her resume, I knew she was the one. And then we gave her a disc and an ABA, and she was perfect for the job. And I mean, literally, we put her on the phone to role play with other ISAs in our market, and they don't even want to role play with her because she's just smoking them, which is awesome. So we got really lucky.
Yeah, well, look, you keep saying that, Mike. I mean, I think I don't, I don't know that that's true. I mean, you're doing all the right stuff. You're paying to get, trained by Tim. You got trained by Lars. I mean, this isn't luck, man. I mean, this is you working hard. And I think that, I don't know, man. I think you're stealing some of your own thunder when you say that. But okay.
Thank you.
So that is the one that hiring an ISA is the one thing you wish you would have done sooner. I have 2 questions for you. Why didn't you? What was the holdup? Why didn't you do that sooner?
Money.
Okay.
In order to get an ISA that's going to be confident, we have to give her a base, and then we're giving her a piece of the deals as well. And it's just been hard to justify the cost associated with it because, like I said, Rob's a great ISA. I mean, I'm a good ISA too. I just don't like it. So, we felt that we could do that between the two of us. And, we finally realized just get out of our own way. We're adding new systems next year, so we knew that there was no way we couldn't do it now. So we took the plunge, and we found the right person. It was important that we did it. But really, it was just a matter of getting out of our own way and seeing the opportunity for what it is and sucking it up and writing the check.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, and I guess this a little bit ties in with the notion of, don't spend the money if you don't have it. I think that okay. So look, for everybody out there, again, we talked about, adding a transaction coordinator, potentially getting a partner to complement your skills. Now this ISA. Now, if you don't have office space that you can have somebody in there, you can do this virtually. I mean, my ISA, I have 2 of them. They're both virtual. I use My Outdesk, and I pay like $9 an hour. So if you guys are listening to Mike and you want to do this, I can save you almost $200. I think $180 if you go to myoutdesk.com/superagents live. They charge you $500 to onboard you, but I think they'll shave off $170, $180 if you use that link. So okay. Is there anything else, Mike, that, like this ISA notion that you wish you would have done sooner?
I wish we would have added more radio, to tell you the truth. It was, again, getting out of our own way from a money standpoint, but I feel like it would have paid off quickly enough that it would have been worth it. And, it's hard when you're balancing a business budget and then 2 personal budgets to find the right middle ground. That's been somewhat of a challenge this year, but we've come to a position where hopefully it won't be anymore. And, you also have to have the right means to get on the radio. Like, I was fortunate that I came across you, and I didn't just walk into a studio and say, hey, I want to run some ads.
Yeah.
You did some really good due diligence and made sure we were spending our money with the right person. We got to sit down with our radio personality and really teach him about us, and he really bought into what we were doing, and you could hear that on the radio through him. So that was really big. But yeah, if I could go back to the beginning of the year, I probably would have done a larger budget for radio. We got, I think, a 3.5 times return.
Okay.
So, just looking at that, if I would have doubled it, I would have got, a lot more money in my pocket. So
right.
Again, it's just the notion of getting out of your own way. If you find something that works, shift gears, go faster. Don't just idle by. So, next year we're going to double our radio. We're going to try to go to another station. And we also picked up Curator, to help us with our social media and our follow-up. The one thing that we didn't do, that I wish we would have done better, is client relations. We did not get good testimonials from everybody. We should have been getting video testimonials and then putting them on, Zillow and Trulia and whatever other means that there are. And we should have been doing better. We should have been trying to get referrals. Out of the 43 deals we did this year, I think maybe like one was a referral.
Wow.
which is really pathetic. I'm really ashamed to say that out loud, but the fact that we know it and we're going to change it is what's important. So, we're going to really focus on, that sphere of influence and getting referrals from our current clients, because I know some agents that base their whole business on that. And if we had incorporated that, day one, we could have potentially doubled our business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk about how you plan on doing that in a second. But I want to go back to budgeting a little bit, because early on when you correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but the way that you and Rob split this, okay, you said that if you have a deal, if you work with if you work with the buyer or Rob works with the buyer, $10,000 is the commission, 40% or $4,000 goes to the person who works for the buyer, 10% goes to your ISA, and that remaining 50% you guys split. Now, if that's wrong, correct me. Okay, that's correct. Budgeting is so important. Too many people will say, okay, man, I just got a commission of 10 grand, 20 grand, whatever. And they go buy a brand new Mercedes, or, they spend it. What is your guys's, what do you do? Like, how much, so in that deal, $10,000 commission, $4,000 goes to you because you worked with the buyer, let's say, 10% or 1,000 goes to the ISA, and you and Rob split $5,000, which $25,000 each. What do you guys do in terms of plowing it back into the business? Like, I'm sure you have something formal where.
Yeah.
Okay. What is that?
Well, we have a detailed budget that we know how much we spend each month. It's broken down between hard costs, such as, the website or radio or our office space, and then fluctuating costs, such as, getting photography done or buying signs or lock boxes. And then we have an estimated budget for what those variable costs will be. And then we simply, at the beginning of the month, put that amount of money in 50-50. So we have our operating expenses per month based on, what we both deposit. So we have basically an operating account between the two of us.
Okay, but can you give us percentages, or what is that? Because I think people are out there going, yeah, that's great. I know you have
Sure.
a budget. Give people some guidance.
Let me pull my budget up. Bear with me for a second.
Sure.
In terms of deals, like everything on the sell side gets split 50-50. We're 100% partners on the sell side. There's no variance there. On the buy side, because we have the buyer's agents, or we've had and they've come and went, we wanted a structure that would work when we step out of our own way. So we didn't want to set it up where like, oh, look at all the money I'm making because we're doing it this way, and then it changes. So we set it up for growth and for what we anticipated doing. And, it's only fair if you're showing houses, to somebody, on 10 different occasions, you deserve to make your money from that.
Yeah.
So That's why we structured it that way. So right now, you want me to go line by line on our budget?
No. I just want to know. Don't get that detail. I just want to know, just in general, just forget about your splits. 10 grand comes into your company. How much goes back into the operating budget, percentage-wise, and then what do you take out to put in your own bank account?
We do it kind of opposite. It goes because the brokerage cuts the checks to us anyway. So one check will come to me, one will go to Rob. We deposit it in our bank account, and then monthly at the beginning of the month, we each deposit whatever we need to put in for operating. So, I mean, we split operating 50-50, and it's just the first of the month, we both have to write a check and deposit it in our operating account.
Oh, why don't you do it the other way? How come it's 10 grand comes in and then, and 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever it is, stays in the company to deploy for expenses, like hard or fixed expenses, as well as, future, channels, future marketing, whether that's more mailers, more radio, billboards, what was the thinking there? How come you didn't do it that way?
Well, if we had a slow month and nothing came in, then we'd have nothing to feed our budget with. So we wanted to make sure that, hey, this is what it is. This is what you have to write a check for every month. Doesn't matter if we make 20 grand or we make 2 grand. We wanted to make sure that those funds were allowed. And, it wasn't getting cut to, like, our team name is the Orlando Home Team, but our brokerage cuts the checks to Mike Shulman and Rob West. So they had to go in our account anyway. And, we do try to put extra in for a buffer, and we try to, get a couple months ahead. But, I guess we're just not there yet. We would hope to get there soon, but at the beginning it was, kind of limping in and just do whatever we had to do to get that money there because, hey, January and February we had just started, so you got to build a pipeline, and we weren't really there to take it from the deal, so we had to just say, hey, this is what you put in month over month, and we haven't really modified that because it's been working.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would be concerned about with that is something happens to you, something happens to Rob. You know what I mean? Like you have some kind of weird, like, expense, and then all of a sudden, something happens to you, Mike, and then Rob has to then take the brunt, and make one or two decisions: fund both your guys' side of it, or stop funding it, which would fundamentally crack your whole model.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so look, we got to start wrapping up. I really have enjoyed digging into this stuff that we normally don't dig into. I'd love to find out what you guys were doing, plan to do to increase those referrals. What you're doing to build your list, what you're doing, in terms of communicating with your list. But I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I always ask. Okay, so number 1, a book recommendation. So here's the setup. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
Something that I'm reading right now, I just got started with it, but I think it's really powerful, is People Work by Chris Smith and Austin Allison. It's too much of business has come away from engaging with people, and it's gone towards, drip campaigns and stuff that's so impersonal. And, we got to differentiate ourselves and be about the people, not about the systems as well. I mean, you got to have systems, but it's about, people first. And that's what they really preach. And, like I said, we're getting hooked up with Curator that Chris Smith is a partner in. So I really wanted to understand how he thinks a little bit better. So it's been powerful so far. I'm really impressed by it.
Now, hold on. So Curator, they're fundamentally a pay-per-click platform.
Yes and no. What we found when we looked into it is they've basically taken a lot of tools from different avenues. Like we were using Follow Up Boss, we were using Happy Grasshopper, we were using Market Snapshot. They've combined them all into one. So, their cost is not cheap, but when we could take all that out of our budget, it actually makes it pretty reasonable. And what they do is they'll actually custom, you asked what we were going to do for follow-up for, our past clients and whatnot. They have people on staff that will write custom-made emails to drip out for you. So it's not a drip. It's like purpose-written emails for us. So I'm really hopeful that's going to have a good impact. And then they use, social media marketing, pay-per-click through Facebook, and they're exploring with Instagram and some others now to help generate leads. And we're really trying to do some hyper-local stuff and really farm an area. One thing, my biggest aha from 2015 is you could actually own an area. I always thought it was BS, like, oh, this agent, owns this neighborhood. I could wholeheartedly say I own a neighborhood right now. I have more sales in this neighborhood than any other agent since 2006. And, I got one, then I got another from that one, then I got another from that one, and then we started door knocking, and I'm actually listing a house in the neighborhood right now that was an expired that I door knocked, and I got it because of the reputation that I've established in the neighborhood. So that was a huge takeaway. We're going to start doing that more aggressively in 2016, and we're hoping that, having Curator as a resource is really going to help that, because you're really farming, specific areas with social media.
Got it. Okay. And we don't have time, man. We don't have time. I got to get on another call in 1 minute, but hold on. Okay. So we got your book, and everybody, if you want to go, Chris Smith has been on this show. Go find, he's a good guy. I don't think Curator's for everybody. I mean, but I know it does work for some people. You have to be in the right, but check him out, get his book. You can get a free copy using our link. Just go to audibletrial.com/superagentslive and get a free copy. All right. Now, look, we've talked a lot about you, Mike, and your mindset and all this stuff. So this is what I want to ask you. Do you, Mike, have a personal habit that you think has contributed to your success?
I'm a hungry, driven individual. I don't get discouraged. Knock me down, I'm going to get up, and I'm going to, knock me down 7 times, I'm getting up 8. So, it's not letting daily things impact your mindset. No matter what's going on, no matter how many deals fall apart, there's more in the future, and you got to make it happen. The bottom line is just make it happen, and don't wait for it to happen. Be proactive, not reactive. If you sit around and wait for things to happen, they're not gonna. Like you said, I got a lot of training. I tried to go to the gurus, yourself included, and I value what they say to me. I don't try to reinvent the wheel. I just try to ride a bicycle. I see what people do that works, and I'm copying it. I'm doing what works for others, and it's working for me.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I think that is definitely one of your personal things, Mike, because I've seen you guys over and over again. You see something, you digest it, and I think you're considerate. You don't just do everything, but you definitely consider it, and then you guys implement, man. You guys execute, and I think that is very much a key that is missing in most people. Oh, okay. Look, man, I know that you're out there in Orlando. We have listeners everywhere. I know that 2016 is going to be a year for growth for you guys. And maybe somebody's listening to this going, hey, I'd love to work with those guys. Where can people find you?
Our website is orlando-hometeam.com, and that's the best place to find us.
Awesome. All right, everybody, look, all the stuff will be on the show notes at superagentslive.com. Mike Shulman. Hey, Mike, buddy, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day and sharing all this stuff with my guests.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, talk to you soon, Bell.
Thanks. Bye.
Let's go. Yeah.